What's up, everybody? It's Adley Romero here, your friendly neighborhood 3D artist. Just kidding. No, I am here by myself today. I don't have any guests with me just due to time, and I kind of been having this podcast on the back of my mind. And we're talking about following your dreams and following your passions today. But before we get to that, I wanted to tell you guys I finally decided on a name for the podcast, and I'm going to call it the A&E Foundry. I've been thinking hard about what I want to do with this podcast, and on top of talking about entertainment and art, we're also creating and making things and doing workshops, or just talking about and encompassing art and entertainment as a whole. So I thought, since Foundry means a workshop, that'd be an A&E stands for art and entertainment. It's a perfect fit. I don't know. What do you guys think? The name's not 100% set in, but I think that's what I'm going to go with for the time being. If you guys have any ideas or opinions on the name, please leave a comment below, and I'd gladly appreciate it. Okay. Other than that, let's get going. Like I said, I'm solo today, so I have Sketchbook Pro open in front of me, and this is just to lay out some notes about what I'm going to talk about. It'll help me kind of stay on a good path. Otherwise, I ramble a lot. But maybe rambling's good for podcasts. I don't know. I listen to Kevin Smith and Joe Rogan, and I know Kevin Smith, he tends to ramble, but it's enjoyable. So, I think I have the same type of style when I speak. I just kind of continue to rant on about things. But well, we'll see. You guys let me know what you guys think about this episode, and if you have any other opinions on thoughts that you want me to talk about as I'm talking about this stuff, again, please leave a comment below. So, again, the topic for today is following your dreams. Yes. Whatever. I have a really chicken scratch handwriting, so apologize for that. But following your dreams, yeah, it's a big thing I am extremely passionate about, like I said earlier. And it's something that I really relate to my students. Now, teaching where I teach, and most educational programs, they kind of teach you how to be, I guess you can say, a cog in the wheel, for lack of a better term. And not that it's a bad thing, because some people thrive by just following orders and doing. Me, on the other hand, I never did. I have a very, very strong hate for authority, I guess you can say. I wouldn't say hate, but I just don't do well with authority. And, dealing with my parents, dealing with bosses and things like that. I like to work with people. I don't like to work under somebody. And I feel like working with people brings out a lot more creative passion and output, I would say. That's why I'm such a big advocate for following your dreams. There we go. I get caught up on my thoughts sometimes. I can't find the right words. But the first part is what's your dream? Like, I'm already messing up drawing this stuff. But what is the dream? Okay. Yeah, I know that's a sloppy M at the end. Yeah, what is the dream? What is your dream? What is my dream? At least I could say for mine, I knew when I was little I wanted to be a comic book artist, but let's just limit it to artist. And I wanted to be a boxer, out of all things. I don't know why, it just popped in my head. I've known since I was 5. Now, the boxing part, I didn't do much with it, but I've trained in boxing, I've trained in mixed martial arts, and I've trained in taekwondo and a couple others. So I technically kind of achieved that. But the big one here is being an artist. Like, that was very important to me. Art was always a big part of my life growing up. I even gave it up at a point because I was in such a dark place due to some family circumstances. But at least from what I can remember, from the ages of 4 till about 12 or 13, I was doodling all the time, entering in art competitions, taking art classes anywhere I can. I mean, I was grateful that my parents were able to sign me up for that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, once 13 hit and I went through what I went through, I didn't really pick up art until, um, I mean, I guess you can say high school because I studied architecture in there, and architecture to me is an art form. Um, but I really, really didn't get serious about it until I got into college. One thing with college, I knew I wanted to go into game design. Video games outside of art was another passion of mine, and outside of playing them, I always wanted to know what it took to make them. So I have a degree in game art and design. Um, from the Art Institute of Orange County. Unfortunately, they're closing down, but I will just leave my opinion at that and save it for another episode. But yeah, I have a degree in game art and design, and it's something I thought I was going to fall into, and um, I achieved it. I got to become a professional artist. Not per se in the game industry as in working in the studio. Most of my work is freelance, but I achieved that goal. Um, and I know I'm getting a little ahead in here and I'm keeping things short. But before I get too far ahead of what happened after I achieved that goal, I wanted to talk about the journey. And so, the journey is the biggest part, I guess you would say. Because when you have, your goal set in mind, um, the journey teaches you a lot about yourself. Um, Opens your eyes to new things that you never maybe would have come across from, or even doors that you never thought would have been open to for yourself. So as much as the goal is and the dream is something that you want to attain, I feel like the journey is much more important than following your dream. And I know that it kind of sounds a little contradictory, but I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't pay attention to my journey. Um, my journey still allowed me to reach my goal, and that's becoming an artist professionally. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And even though I'm teaching, I'm still an artist. I'm teaching art. I'm doing art on the side. But art, becoming an artist professionally, is the goal, and I never stopped believing in that dream. That was always in the back of my head. But I think why I'm bringing up the journey and why I think it's so important is you find the deeper side of yourself that you probably wouldn't see if you didn't come across these heartaches. And when I talk about the journey, I'm talking about obstacles in your way. Um, I thought I wanted to work for big AAA studios. Um, and going through college and evolving as an adult, I found out early I don't do well with authority. How the hell am I going to be working in the studio and crunching all the time? Those big heavy crunches, if you want to be a game artist and you're still a student or somebody who's thinking about going to school or trying to get into the industry, just be prepared. There's months, on end that you're working anywhere from 10 to 16-hour days. I mean, I've known friends who have had to sleep over at their studios because they were on such a crunch to get the games done. Now, you don't really hear that all that often, nor is it shared, through companies. I know right now, who is it? I think it's Rockstar. I haven't been following it too much, but I heard something about Rockstar's working their people like 100-hour weeks or whatever. But yeah, it's situations like that. And on top of that, like I said, I don't do well with authority. I don't know if I could handle an art director being a dickhead all the time, because there are those art directors that are dickheads. There's other ones that are great and they give you great feedback on your work, even though it can be harsh, but it's constructive criticism. And then there's the straight art directors who are just like, your work shit, and give you no reason or no recollection on why it's bad. So again, to drive back the point, the journey is important because it allows you to open your eyes to things that you might have been naive to, and kind of change your path in still reaching your goal at the end of the day. Like I said, I'm still a professional artist. That hasn't changed. But my journey went from me wanting to be in a AAA studio to me wanting to be an entrepreneur, a freelance artist, as well as now a teacher. Like I said, I've been teaching for 3 years. I never knew in college that I wanted to be a teacher. I hated the idea of being a teacher when I was in college. But again, the journey wasn't finished once I became the professional artist. So that kind of leads me into my next point. After you reach your goal, what happens when you reach your goal? Probably should just type the stuff out next time so it's legible. Yeah, what happens when you reach your goal? Most people, they either fall content and they're just like, hey, this is it for me. This is it for the rest of my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I always try to push myself. I always want to evolve. I never want to stop growing. I think one thing that stuck for me in my college years was my instructor, Alan Emmerich, who owns Victory Point Games. I believe he still does. And one thing he said is, when you stop growing mentally, and no matter what you do, be it art, philosophy, I don't know, whatever subject you're that you're passionate about, once you stop growing and think that you're done, you begin to decay and die mentally and physically. I mean, we're all dying slowly every day, and as morbid as that sounds, it's true. So why just reach one goal and stop there? The whole world is open for you. So when I reached my goal and I became a professional artist, and after I decided that I didn't want to work in a studio, and I left a design job doing 3D visualization for architecture, I was like, I need to be creative, but how can I use that creativity to make money? And that's where freelance came in. But doing most of my freelance, it wasn't for video games. It was for tabletop games, which was surprising. And even though it's not exactly what I went to school for, it's still the game industry at some form. And when I started my freelance, this is when 3D printing, household 3D printing, or desktop 3D printing, I should say, started reaching a boom. So I was able to digitally sculpt something in a program that I use called ZBrush. And from there, my client sent me an image over of one of my models that I sculpted in there, and it was 3D printed. The feeling was just overwhelming to see something that I made in the computer actually made physical, where I think video games, it's such a reward to see 3, 5, 10 years go by, and as a team you see a game done, and it's very rewarding going through all the hardships and heartaches. And that's one joy that I guess I'll never get to understand unless I open up another studio and make a game. But there was something about seeing that physically tangible in somebody's hand that had a really mind-blowing and changing effect on my direction that I wanted to go. So now I was open to new opportunities, and from there I decided I didn't want to do video games per se. I wanted to do digital sculpting for manufacturing, making collectibles, doing tabletop miniatures. And I had so much fun because I didn't have the constriction or limitation that you would just digitally outputting something. I got more freedom creatively, I guess you can say, or at least from what I saw. I know, different people feel about different things and they feel about them different ways. But for me, I just felt like my creativity could be let loose a little bit more than being so constricted to either hardware limitations or a certain guideline that I had to follow. It was literally just creating art. Even though most of them were client based, it was still I was left to most of the creative freedom, and that's what I loved about it. And so that's going to bring me to my last point, and I think I'm going to kind of go back through each of the steps. I didn't get to say everything that I wanted to as I'm telling this journey, but I think I'll use examples more to kind of flesh out other pieces about the journey, and to keeping your mind open. So again, the last point I wanted to talk about before I kind of reiterate certain things is staying open. Stay open. Like I said earlier, I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. I would see what my teachers went through and saw their struggles with students not wanting to pay attention, students not giving a shit about the classes, and I just couldn't fathom dealing with that. Fast forward, 3-4 years later after I'm out of school, and I got to private tutor my buddy on how to use ZBrush. And the minute I saw it click for him, it changed me. It changed inside, and I was like, "This is really cool. This is fun." And I think on top of it, it wasn't just that I was helping him, but I was evolving as an adult at the time too. I wanted to become a better person. I wanted to give back to people. I didn't want to be so selfish with any success that I had. I wanted to help people succeed. So on top of private tutoring, I had a passion for helping others. I think there's so much hate and turmoil in this world that there just needs to be some type of positivity, no matter how small it is. So if that means I can help some person achieve their dreams in becoming an artist for games, becoming an artist for collectibles, or animation or whatever, at least I know I did my part to bring some positivity in this world. And again, it's not for ego, it's not for anything like that. Like, I just genuinely like to help people. I can be a crank, I can be a dickhead, I can be an asshole sometimes, and everybody can be. But overall, my genuine outlook in life is that there's enough happiness to go around. And I know people are going to be cynical, or they can tease me and say what they want and talk shit, but honestly, I don't care, because I know the part I'm doing, and I'm seeing the effects that it's having on people, and it makes me happy. It makes life happier, dealing with all the heartache and pain that it throws at everybody, big or small. But yeah, I stayed open, and teaching became one of my new passions. It became a new goal for me to be able to help others. And I think that's a goal that, outside of being an artist, is kind of open-ended. I don't really have a end destination as I did with my art goal. So it's something that I can keep on working on the rest of my life, because honestly, I want to see people happy. So that being said, I want to kind of go back and cover some examples of my journey and how, I figured certain things out. So I know most of you out there who are either early students or just students in general, or hobbyist artists, and you guys don't have the confidence in your artwork. That's fine. That's all right. The one thing you should do is never hide it. If this is something, the type of industry you want to be in, if you want to be in the entertainment industry, or doing games, collectibles, whatever, you need to share your art. That's a big thing that you need to do, is not be afraid, get critiques, reach out to your people that you look up to. I'm friends with a lot of my heroes in the industry. um I'm friends with them, and I'm honored to say that I'm friends with them, um because I don't feel my artwork is anywhere near their level, or can be. Maybe someday I'll reach it, but by the time I reach it, they're gonna be at a whole nother level. And as hard as the pill is that is to swallow, that's fine, because I'm not them, they're not me, and we're on our own journey. So I hope this is okay, and I hope my buddy that I'm gonna bring up right now, if he sees this podcast, please let me know if you want me to edit anything out. But I just want to talk about my buddy Frank Sang, who I went to school with, and he's over at Naughty Dog now, and he's one of the best artists in the world. I mean, he's been at Naughty Dog, and I actually delayed my graduation in my journey path because I was too scared to stand next to him. So if you guys haven't seen his work, or have not played the Uncharted series, or anything from Naughty Dog within the recent years, I will pull up his art station and show you some of the work he's done. Let me grab that real quick, and then I'll show you guys. All right, so yeah, like I said, Frank is over at Naughty Dog, and he is the lead character artist over there. I'm super proud of this guy. He's such a humble human being, super nice, and just all around amazing artist. Um, in Frank's graduation portfolio, he was pumping stuff out like this. He already had worked a few freelance jobs, and I mean, his anatomy skills were amazing. And I don't know how he thinks about this project now if he looks back, but everything sculpted in ZBrush, and just phenomenal work, for right out of college. And this is what I tell my students, like, they need to strive for. Like, if you're gonna be out there, like, this is the level of quality of work that you need to do. um from there, I know he worked at Sony Entertainment, so he kind of was allowed to work on multiple projects that came out. So I know he did some characters for Killzone, but on his side pieces, he would do fan art. This guy, outside of working the hours that he works, he continued to push himself. Um, he just does amazing work. But I'm honored to be able to call him a friend. Like, this dude is amazing, and like I said, super humble, super sweet, and a nice guy. But I was intimidated by him. Um, you know, after but after I graduated and I got out and started doing freelance and stuff, I realized, like, I don't need to be discouraged or intimidated by him. He has his journey and I have mine. Yeah, my art's probably not at his level, but there's things that I like to do that Frank doesn't do. Like, I know he can do stylized, but that's what I prefer to do, some type of stylized figure, um instead of realism. And that's okay. I mean, I should practice realism more, and I do try, when I have the time. But again, once I reach that level that he's at, he's just gonna be at a whole nother level. um and like I said, as hard of a pill as that is to swallow, it's okay, because I'm on a different journey. He's the lead character artist at Naughty Dog, and I'm an instructor, and that's completely fine. uh, because my path, my goal, my journey is I enjoy teaching. I'm passionate about teaching. If I can get somebody to get a job out in the industry and be the next Frank, that would make me extremely happy knowing that I helped them get to that point. Because at the end of the day, it's not about money for me. It's literally all about helping people. Um, I'm kind of thinking where I should go from there, because I know, again, I rant and I'm serious about this point. Is I'm so lucky that I still get to call Frank and some other people out in the industry that I know my friends, because we're friends, um, and I get to look up to them. I get to contact them. Hey man, how did you do this? I get to ask them for tips and tricks, and collaborate with them if they have the time or the opportunity, and we just go on with our lives. My journey is different from his, so I guess where I want to say is, don't ever beat yourself down if you're chasing a dream that you see somebody else is achieving and they're being extremely successful at it, but it seems like you're never going to reach it or attain that. Because you never know, your dream can change, or might not change, but might be formed into something different. My dream is still being a professional artist. Like, I love doing what I do every single day. I love creating what I create every single day. But like I said, my journey changed my path, and now I'm a teacher. I'm teaching this stuff, and I enjoy doing that every single day. So how long have we been going? Almost a half hour. I didn't think I was going to be able. I was going to try to talk an hour. I didn't think I was going to be able to get this much. But yeah, guys, I mean, if you guys have any questions or want me to do a follow-up podcast, maybe talking with a guest on the stream about following their dreams, maybe I can do a part 2. But I think that's it. I mean, I want to leave you guys, again, figure out what your dream is. Once you figure that out, set a plan for yourself. But don't always abide by the plan. And if something fucks up or doesn't go the way you need it to, be able to adjust. Be able to fix it a little bit. So maybe an example would be is say I had a student. They're extremely smart, extremely smart. So smart they kind of can be a pain in the ass, but they retain things very well. But artistically, they're just not there, and it's not their fault. But they just don't have it. Not saying that they can't get that way. So I guess if you want to talk about it, a good way to continue this podcast is I'm a huge believer in art or being artistic is not something just by genes. What I'm saying, genetics. They're not given by genetics. Yes, you have the prodigies that are born with some sort of talent, but I feel like art is more of a skill set and not so much not that ever I'm trying to find the right words. I hear the term I can never be good at art. No, yeah, you can. You just gotta work for it. And I guess this can relate into reaching your dreams. Is you might have a dream, but if you say I can't achieve it, then you can't achieve it. But you're the one stopping yourself. Learning art, learning your foundations, learning composition, learning light, learning how to draw, that all takes time. Again, I guess we could pull back to the example of when I was going to school with Frank. Frank was freaking phenomenal. Like, his 2D work was even strong when he was in school. And I just wasn't there. And so that adds that he already had natural talent for it. I don't know his childhood and how much he drew back then. I know he was an international student when we were in college, but I never really asked him. So maybe I can get him on here on the podcast and we'll talk about it. But he was just phenomenal. He was naturally talented, or at least from what I saw. Um, and I had to work for it. And I had to work for it because I let go of it. If I continued to draw from 13 through college, and continued my artistic, I guess you can say, journey, I'd probably be better off and a lot stronger, instead of having to relearn certain things. And again, all that's my fault. I stopped myself. Art is a skill that can be learned. Um, but if you have the mindset that you can't reach it, you're never gonna reach it. So, um, don't ever think that you can't reach that goal or your dreams. You just have to fucking work for it. And I'm dropping the F bomb in that is because it's fucking hard. I'm emphasizing that it's dedication and it's a passion that you have to have for this industry or for this type of work. What I love about the industry is you work hard, the reward is even better. You can play the play time is when you get to hang out with the buddies, talk about work, share each other's art, share each other's techniques. I mean, even if it isn't talking about work, getting together, playing D&D, playing video games, whatever the fuck you want. I love this industry because I feel like I get to be a child my entire life. And not saying that I want to be a child my entire life, but having the heart of a child, having the mind of a child, being able to be creative, being able to be expressive, and not limited to having a regular 9 to 5 job where I feel like, oh God, here it goes again. It's the same shit in and out every single day. There's people that are miserable out there, but it's because they're too scared to take the risk. And I think with the internet the way it is now, there's so much opportunity for people starting their own path to success. Um, maybe you don't get into a game studio. Maybe you start doing tutorials online because you understand techniques that'll help people get to that level. Um, or maybe you enjoy streaming games, but you want to stream some art on the side. There's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's ways to monetize your skill sets outside of just being in a studio. You can create your own collectibles, you can create your own jewelry with ZBrush, you can create your own clothes, shoes, whatever. There's tons of things that you can go out there and make now with desktops, 3D printing or 3D printing services, stuff like, I think the website's called Printful, where you can just draw and make a print, and then you can set up to where they'll send the print out for you and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, there's going to be a cost that they take to it, but still, it's like you're monetizing your art. Going to conventions and stuff, I know there's buddies of mine who work the conventions, and they go over year round, and they're pulling in anywhere from 40 to 60 grand a year. But it's a hard life and it's busting their ass every single year. But you know what? There's a lot of joy and benefits that come out of it. So again, I think that pertains to staying open, and learning from your journey, and understanding what kind of goal you're trying to reach, because it could change. But at the end of the day, if you have something in your heart that is pulling you and telling you to do it, do it. I should edit the video and pull up the Shia LaBeouf meme where he's like, just do it. But yeah, I mean, I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, just fucking do it. When I hear them say, oh, I'm scared or I'm nervous, why? I put on a mixer the other day at school for my students to do a sculpt off and network. So the people who aren't sculpting had the ability to network with the judges that I brought. And I think out of everybody that I saw there, I maybe saw a handful of students actually reach out to the judges. I mean, fortunately, they're all my friends, so I got to sit down and shoot the shit with them and catch up on things. But So why miss out on that opportunity? You have them right there. You have direct contact with people. They're just humans. I mean, yes, their art makes them godlike because they do amazing work, and again, I look up to them. But at the end of the day, I'd like to just sit, kick back, and have a beer with them, or go out to dinner and catch up. I don't know, whatever. But we're all people. We're all humans. There are going to be people that are dicks and that have egos and that you have to deal with. That's only going to last for so long. Surround yourself with people that are positive, that want to help you succeed, that want to help others succeed. And you can tell are genuinely good people. I mean, what's the worst somebody can tell you? No. Don't talk to me. Fine, then you don't want to talk to that fuckhead anyways. So don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt, and now more than ever, with the way the world's connected, it's easier to follow your dreams than there was before. You don't have to lock yourself into the rat race all the time. Yes, you might have to sacrifice some time and sacrifice a couple years, a few months to the rat race and do a shitty job that you don't want to do until you build up enough fan base, or you build up enough content, or a big enough portfolio, or a good enough portfolio. But always use your passion and your dream to chase after that goal. Because one day you'll get to look back and you'll be like, this was all worth it. Everything was worth it. So that's all I got for today, guys. I know my screen was just literally this for the whole time. I promise next time we have a guest on, we'll do some more artwork. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any topics that you want me to talk about with either by myself or a guest, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But other than that, I'm out, guys. Remember, we're calling it the A&E Ford, or not Forge, A&E Foundry. Sorry, the A&E Foundry. And if you have any other opinions on the name or something similar to it, I want to make this a podcast that we get to collaborate and create and talk about important topics, and even topics we just love in the industry. When it comes to art and entertainment, you know, I'll be talking about anime, I'll be talking about games, I'll be talking about art techniques, a little bit of everything that I'm passionate about. So again, if you have any ideas, comments, critiques, please let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later. I appreciate everything that you guys do. So everybody have a good night, good day, good week, good month, wherever you're at, whenever you're at, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.